the rabbit hole we travel. Welcome back. Deep Disclosure. Coming at you live. And we're back. Greetings, everybody. Mithuzim Hotep here with my co-host, the Divine Miss M, Megan Martinez.
Hi, everybody. Welcome back. Happy Sunday. We're joined today by psychic astrologer Joseph P. Anthony, and let's learn a little bit about him. As a leading psychic and professional astrologer for more than 20 years, Joseph has been featured on countless television and radio programs and has been the astrologer of choice for many noted athletes and celebrities. He lectures frequently. He helps you to understand the importance of the core of our soul and being able to comprehend the symbols of our subconscious through the use of astrology. From an early age, Joseph knew he was born with a gift. Joseph recognized his ability to see, hear, and feel things beyond normal comprehension, an insightful awareness some may call extraordinary sensory perception. He enjoys helping guide his clients to understand who they are, the talents they may possess, and the challenges they may encounter in life. He's also a business astrologer, advising companies how to better forecast growth opportunities and future trends that may affect overall business performance. His intuitive astrological services have helped numerous companies to help determine a positive outcome for their business and leadership that guides them. So not as only is he super talented and really amazing, he's one of our dear friends here in Sedona, and we're so happy to have him on the show. And he will also be joining us on the Seven Seals Summit stage, where he'll be doing a presentation talking about who we really are. Welcome, Joseph.
Hello, guys. How are you doing? Thanks for having me.
Fantastic.
Yeah, it's a pleasure.
Absolutely. This is pretty amazing to be here and experience everything we're experiencing these days. You know, it's just pretty amazing. Let's put it that way.
Well, yeah, certainly being here in Sedona, we love that. But in general, everything is ramping up. There's something in the air. Many people are telling me that they feel positive change coming.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I would have to agree with that. I mean, I've been sensing, like many others, we've been sensing what's going on. And the astrology, the benefit of the astrology is understanding the cycles, you know, because everything is cyclical. And I realized that years ago when, you know, I used to poo-poo this stuff and not realize the importance of it. And now I do. And it's just amazingly accurate for expressing the cycles, especially the lunar cycles and the new moon cycles and so on. And what we're experiencing right now even goes beyond the astrology. What I've learned is that we are being bombarded by higher radiation or frequency that's coming from the galactic center. And this energy that seems to be coming in waves seems to be activated every 18 to 36 days. And we have that going on, and we also have the astrology that's taking place. And so we're being bombarded by radiation and light waves and photons. And I know everyone's feeling it. We've talked about it, you know, off air, how we're all feeling our bodies changing, our sleeping patterns, and so on. So,
well, you know, that Schumann resonance, right? That spikes up. I wonder, is there any correlation in your mind to what causes that or when it happens?
Well, I think it's the waves, the energy waves that are coming in from the galactic center, or when we go through these electrically charged clouds, which are called Oort clouds, O-O-R-T, and they're supercharged. And that's when the magnetic field of the Earth starts to really feel it, and it spikes up, you know. And then on top of that, of course, we can't discount the fact that the sun gives off solar flares, or, you know, and they travel through space and hit the Earth, and so you got that factor as well. So one is hidden, one is not. But I know we're measuring all this stuff. Scientifically, we're measuring it. Scientists are going, what the hell is all this proton light? You know, what is it that... And I think many of them know, but they can't talk about it. But make no mistake, the astrology coming up this year and into the next is really strong. And so there's no way around it. There's no way of avoiding it. It's a transformational energy. But getting back to your point about happier and being more fulfilled and all that, yes, it's breaking down old barriers and ideas and concepts of who we are and how we've given our power away to institutions and organizations and beliefs that are not true. And it's awakening something in us. And in the long term, once we get past this transformational experience, we will absolutely appreciate things at a deeper level and be happier for it. I mean, I know in Sedona here, most of the people I know are already there, understanding, not that we're any better than anyone. It's just that we comprehend or understand the vibration and energy, because that's all everything is vibration and energy and sound. And so the more we come from that perspective, the easier life becomes. And the benefit of this, Matt, about the energy is it's also making us more intuitive. Not only are we more sensitive, we're more intuitive. Isn't that right, Megan?
I would say I think that there's been a quickening for everybody on the planet as far as intuition and abilities go. And often when I'm doing sessions, I'm seeing an increase in my clients' psychic abilities, and they seem to coincide with these waves. They'll tell me, okay, there's something big coming in July. This is gonna result in more of your higher self braiding into and your abilities expanding. And I've seen, and I know a lot of other people have had this experience as well, is increased issues with electricity. So the higher our own personal electromagnetic fields go, the more we have issues with electronics. And so for a few months this year, I don't want to break from that now, which is fantastic. I just kept blowing everything out, blowing lights out and blowing the circuits in the house over and over again. So that's one indication that your abilities are getting amplified.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. The energy is definitely being amplified astrologically as well. The planet Uranus is the planet that represents electricity. It represents sudden changes and revelations and awarenesses. And it has recently entered the sign of Taurus, the sign of the material world and the physical. And so when this sign has entered Taurus and will be here for 7 years, our body chemistry, our electricity seems to change. And yes, we can blow things out, and yes, we can affect the electricity around us. And I know, I mean, the static electricity alone that I keep, running into with clothing and just touching things and then, giving you the shock. So there's more of that in the air. Without a doubt, there's so much, light and photon energy in the air. And then the astrology is compounding that. We're definitely feeling some sort of change, and it's changing us physically as well. So the physical side of life is going to be very important over the next year or so, because we have planets in Earth signs. Uranus is in Taurus, we have Saturn in Capricorn, we have Pluto in Capricorn, and at the end of the year of 2019, we'll have Jupiter in Capricorn. This is a lot of conservative energy. This is a lot of physical energy, and so it's heavy energy too. So many people are feeling the heaviness of it all, the responsibility, the concern with the future, the concern about their well-being, their jobs, all of that stuff plays in. This is all an indicator of the astrology. And one of the biggest months of the year is coming up, Megan, in July. I just did the astrology for July, and I do a newsletter each month, and I do videos and so on.
Which I love.
Well, thank you. And I'm going to be writing about how the energy in July is so unpredictable and so transformational. Think about this for a second. Not only do we have two solar events and one lunar eclipse in the month of July.
What's the second solar event?
There is another new moon at the end of the month of July in Leo. So on the 2nd of July, we have the solar eclipse in Cancer. Then on the 16th, we have the lunar eclipse in Capricorn. Okay, very powerful because Pluto and Saturn are going to be there. And at the last day of the month, we have another new moon in Leo. So we have so much energy coming in July, but that's not it. That's not the end of it. We also have Mercury going retrograde. That's always a fun one, bringing up things from the past and situations. And there's a lot of confusion in the air in the month of July. But I think the stronger, if those aren't strong enough, we also have Mars squaring Uranus. And that's a 90 degree away. And these are two very unpredictable signs, Mars and Uranus. And they're going to be at odds with each other. And so from the 7th through the 16th, I'm going to say to people, be very aware of what you're doing, where you're going, driving, other people, because it's very unpredictable, explosive energy in that time. And so I'm not trying to be a downer here or be negative, but when the planets indicate some sort of change, you got to listen.
I think it's good to be aware of this stuff that's going on because it can explain what you're feeling inside of you and also people's strange behavior. And so if you can prepare for it, that's awesome. And this is definitely in alignment with the channelings that I've received, and that Spirit has said to me that the second half of June would be kind of a build-up into a pretty epic July, and that we would just kind of get slammed with energy in July, and that seems to be what's going on. So I will bring up this again because I think that this is happening now. I know this is happening now. I'm seeing this happen now. And that Spirit told me that during the solar event and these major solar waves, that one of the side effects, one of the things that could happen is people actually having heart attacks and strokes because of the high energy and their blood pressure spiking up. And so we've seen this happen. We've seen people pass away in the last few weeks. We've seen people go to the emergency room with very high blood pressure who maybe didn't have an issue with that. And even people who don't have issues with blood pressure have had their blood pressure spike. Even mine has spiked. When I'm working out, I have to be very careful. And if my body's telling me to stop, I stop because I don't want to push it, because it's not typical energy that we're dealing with at this time. But what I will say about this is they said that when the event happens, this will be one of the side effects. And so we are in the middle of it right now. This is the middle of the solar event that everybody has been talking about. And so nobody really knew what it was going to look like, what it was going to feel like. They just knew it was going to be intense and that it was going to be a major shifting thing for the planet. And it's happening now. We are experiencing it now. And we may just be on the outer end of it, like coming into it. So it looks like we're just kind of getting a taste for it. They said that there was going to be 4 major waves before the final big wave. And so I think we're starting to feel those now based on what they've said would happen. And also from predictions from other people. So crazy times we're in.
Yeah, it's all been compounding for sure. Getting reports of people, relationships breaking up, emotional stuff coming up. These triggers cause us to have to do introspection. The opportunity for growth is there, but absolutely many, many things are going on, and we have to be on our toes, our spiritual best, and it's a great time to utilize this energy for higher conscious awakening.
Oh, absolutely. And I agree with everything you just said, both of you. The energy has been affecting so many people. I had 3 people I know pass away in a 2-week period just recently. They were in their 80s, but I knew them well, and they just decided to check out, and that's what's happening also. If you don't belong here anymore, you're willing yourself into that mindset because you don't quite understand what's happening to you, and you're taking this personally, like you're the only one going through it. Don't do that. I would advise not to look at it as energy or that's affecting only you. It's affecting everyone I know. Clients from around the world are all feeling it. And one of the side effects is that a lot of them have said, I feel like I'm losing my mind. Yeah, well, you got these waves scrambling our senses and our brain synapses. So yeah, it does feel like we're losing our minds, but that's part of the shift in the energy that the body has to undergo. And I remember hearing this years ago, through psychic means, your body will change, your perception will change. And here we are in the thick of it. This has been some of the heaviest energy I've ever experienced, and I know you guys have experienced it too. Unlike anything else, and it's unreal at times where the energy is so heavy and draining. And I know, Megan, we've talked about this in our videos, that it's just unbearable. And then there are days where you're euphoric. You're totally up for no reason. And so this is normal. This is the normal spikes in these energy fields. But the one thing I did get was take care of your bodies as much as possible and rest while you can. Don't think it's just old age or, there's something wrong with you. I got so many people going to doctors and hospitals, thinking there's something wrong with them. And what do doctors like to do? They like to prescribe drugs. Take this, you'll feel better. Or, you might need this here, and it's a waste of time because they find nothing, and yet they want you to prescribe you a happy pill of some kind, So right. I'm like, no. Go out in nature, go in water and go swimming or something. Get out there, and it helps. But there's no escaping this energy. I'm sorry.
No, you're gonna feel it whether you want to or not. And one of the things that Spirit said recently was that those of you who were wise began your inner work long time ago, and those of you who were not are going to get a crash course. And just buckle up and get ready for the ride. Oh,
yeah. Well, it's going to be one hell of a ride. I mean, it already is. But I'm looking forward to the next month, and I'm like, I had one client the other day, and she said, "How could it get any worse?" And I'm saying, it's not really about getting worse. It's about the magnitude of the energy increasing and being distorted, and it's really how you perceive it. Because remember, you're in control of your own destiny. It's your own view of life, your own perception of reality. And so I tried to convey this to her, and I hope I got through to her. But each one of us has to realize what's actually happening. Everything in this world is light and sound. I'm sorry, that's the way it works. That's the physics of it. There's no doubting that. In this day and age, you still want to believe that we're not energy beings. Okay, it's up to you. But this is where it all leads. And from this point forward, what I see coming, and I've seen this for quite a number of years, is we will have ET interaction. We will have governments that we're going to change. We're going to have new currencies. I mean, look at Bitcoin and all these cryptocurrencies. I see a world changing, and I'm sure you both are seeing this coming.
Oh, absolutely. Look at Facebook embracing cryptocurrency with their announcement to do Libra.
Right.
Places like Whole Foods now going to be accepting Bitcoin with an app called Spend, flipping the D and the end. Not sure how you would pronounce that. Mm-hmm. And, so absolutely. Even the Galactics talked about Russia. Before we knew that in the news, they said they would be coming onto the playing field with a gold-backed coin. So, absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, for those of us that are awake and aware, we know what's actually going on. We're very much in tune, whether it's politically, socially, economically, physically. I mean, I remember meditating years ago, and I said, universe, higher consciousness, show me what's going on in the heavens. And the first thing they showed me was these waves, these cosmic waves of light coming in, and they look like light waves, And this was years ago. This was like 10 years ago or so. And so now here we are experiencing this. And I made a prediction also at the beginning of the year that we were going to have another bombardment of waves, and it came true to pass. Those 3 in the middle of the month, 3 solar flares that hit the Earth, bombarded it. And when you look at the image from one of the satellites, when it just encompasses the entire planet, it looks like a giant wave that's just sucking in the Earth. So the point being is when you're in tune, you get these messages easier. and you become more aware. It's the mind chatter that we have to quiet down.
Well, yeah, I remember every morning waking up like, what am I doing here? What is going on? Like, I don't really, I've got a lot of wonderful stuff happening, and yet I was like, oh man, I don't care to do this.
Right. Well, I think what's happening is we're going within ourselves and realizing who we really are, how our body works, how everything, all the systems work. And a lot of everything we know, I mean, your listeners, I'm sure, are well aware of this. Everything we've been taught is one big fat lie, one after another. Whether you're talking religion, whether you're talking, monetary policies, we're being trained from the moment we're born. Go to this school, listen to this teacher, listen to this authority figure, and go and on and on. And if you're smart enough to see through the nonsense, you get older, you go, wait a minute, something's not right. Something is just not right, and you become aware. And you awaken. And so it's really a great awakening that's occurring, a huge awakening that's occurring. And unfortunately, it's conflicting with so many, everyone's belief system, Well, I'm this, I'm Christian, I'm Muslim, I'm this, I'm that. And it's like, no, you're not. This is what you believe you are. But you're beyond that. You're a spirit energy in a body having an experience. Get to know that. Realize it. Research it. Don't just take my word for it. Research it. One of the best ways is to watch people on YouTube that have had the near-death experience. And they all pretty much say the same thing. They reconnect with the light, the energy. They're out of their body. And then if you're more scientific-minded, you could always listen to the science behind it. Our cells are just vibrating energy, empty space.
Yes.
And there's tools out there, too, because when I was, having this what the F moment, Megan and I started to do some mind realigning, and that really was helpful. Shifting the subconscious tape, as it were, the inner voice, and having it programmed more in, I am positive messaging.
Yeah, I love that we brought up here the whole perspective thing and the energy thing, because we are just energy. We are not the stories that we tell about ourselves. Those are just things that happened in the past that we can either choose to carry with us or let go of at any time. And the more that we identify with these stories, the less we are connected to our true selves. And so if we can embrace the fact that we're just energy and that can change at any time, then we really can manifest the life that we want. And so I think it's also important to, and I'm glad that you shared, Matthew, your frustrations, because it's not always easy. I mean, what we've attempted to do is not easy, and it's okay to get frustrated every now and then, but it's great to be able to shift out of that. And so, of course, we've faced a lot of frustrations in the last few years with the work that we've done, but there is, when you change your perspective around it, as in we're choosing to do this work, then the frustrations and the hurdles are not so bad.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Well, look, I mean, while we're in this physical suit and container, whatever you want to call it, we're learning. It's a learning process. We've brought memories from the past in with us, and we're experiencing things from a different perspective in a different timeline. And so what we perceive as mistakes are not mistakes. They're just experiences. So what I've come to realize is there are no sort of bad or good ones. I mean, yes, they are. Like killing somebody would be bad, bad karma.
We can all
no
agree on
good,
that.
no bueno. But, we know the difference between right and wrong. We don't need religion telling us this. We just know it in this day and age. And it's really about experiences. What kind of experiences do you want to have? And everything's a choice. Everything is a choice. You could choose to go left or right when you leave your house. You could choose to go to a store. You could choose to do something, go in nature, whatever. They're all choices. And then you experience that. Now, when the energies are high or disruptive, you still have a choice. You choose to feed into them. You choose to ignore them. You choose to, fight against them. You choose to take it out on other people. You choose to take it out on yourself. It's just a choice. They're all choices. And so the key is to realize or recognize the choices that you're making and to be centered. That's what I realized, to be centered, because everything's a balancing act in this universe. Everything is a field of opposites, but it's trying to balance equations all the time. Up, down, boy, girl, black, white, on and on. And so you've got that imbalance in you, and you're trying to balance yourself between your heart, your mind, your body. All of this stuff is a balancing act. And so the more we get to this center point of who we really are and become more vibrant in our energy, in other words, the loving energy, the more positive we basically perceive the world. But not only that, we affect the people around us. So this is what I've learned over the years of studying human nature. But the astrology, no matter how you slice it, it's a grand awakening, because the planets are indicating things that are being destroyed, like governments and controlling mechanisms and corporations, and anything that has an influence over society is being destroyed, with Pluto in Capricorn and Saturn in Capricorn and soon Jupiter in Capricorn. And this is such tremendous amount of energy. And why is that important? Because so many of us have to, go out and make a living and pay our bills and expenses and all that. This is a system that's been set up to keep us sort of in a certain mindset. Just think about work. Just don't worry about anything else. Just move along, pay your bills, make this phony money, and you'll be happy, And so this whole paradigm is breaking down. And so we have to replace that with what? We're not going to replace it with okay, we're going to have new currency and I'm going to have plenty of that and that's going to make me happy. No. The astrology is because of Neptune and Pisces. Neptune and Pisces is very spiritual. It's about dissolving the illusions. And so this is going to last all the way till 2024, this Neptune and Pisces. And that's the time frame I got, 2023, 2024, where we're going to really shine. Our energy is really going to be bright, and that's when the beings are going to interact with us even more, and there'll be many different races that look like us and many that don't look like us. So prepare yourselves.
I think it's really great what you're just saying too about it's not about the money or the resources. It's about what's inside of you. And that is something that we all need to embrace, is that the only way out has always been in. And there's no amount of outside stimulation or resource or circumstance that's going to change your own happiness. There are people on this planet who are billionaires, who are trillionaires, who are miserable. There are people on this planet who have not a penny to their name and they're happy as can be. So if you put your happiness and your fulfillment and your satisfaction in life outside of you on something that's contingent on what other people are doing, you're never really going to grasp it or achieve it, because you cannot control anybody else. You can only control yourself and your energy and your reaction. So life's always going to happen to you. It's just a matter of how you react to it. And it's really interesting as well, because of the financial work that Matthew and I do. Oftentimes we'll get comments like, well, when is my suffering going to end? And when are you going to solve all my problems? And it's like, your suffering ends when you choose for it to end. You are creating the reality that you live in, and while that it may seem a little bit harsh, it's true. The universe works in a very particular way, and that's one thing that we cannot change. It's the way that the universe works. And so, if we learn to work with it instead of working against it, or just running in circles chasing our tails for 60 to 80 years while we're here, then we can actually achieve the things that we're looking for.
Well, yeah, and one of the way it works is, what's up there. There's many beliefs about it, but one thing's for sure is that the universe is a big mirror, and what you project on it is reflected back to you times 10. So are you projecting, I'm in lack? Because that's coming back to you tenfold. Or are you projecting that I have everything I need exactly when I need it? I'm one with the divine, and all that is being magnified into your life. And, lifting and shifting you constantly when you project positive thoughts. Our thoughts do create our reality. So the more we understand how things work, use these tools to ride these waves, which are also intensifying the magnification and amplifying us into our positive outcome. It's really, what are you busy thinking about? Which tapes are you playing?
This is something I want to talk about too, and this is like a comment that we had on a video that we put out in talking about thoughts creating reality. And this is always one of the arguments that I hear, and I've also thought about this argument myself when I was exploring this concept and this idea, is that how can you say that? How could you be so insensitive when there are children that are living in cages and being trafficked? And this is the answer, is that that's a small percentage of humanity that's happening to. And if you decline your own happiness because that's somebody else's experience, that's your choice to do that. That is not your happiness is not contingent on everybody else around you being happy. And so if you're going to make that your bar that you need to be taken care of before you allow yourself to have fulfillment and happiness, then you're probably not going to get there. However, if you're a person that embraces the idea that our thoughts create our reality, that perhaps if enough of us come together and envision a better reality, we can have a reality that's not happening, that human trafficking is not something that's in existence. And so we can't change the way the universe works because there's suffering.
And at the same time, all the things that are happening astrologically and otherwise that are changing the corruption in the government, we're seeing positive things in the news lately. If you're watching Fox News, you're seeing that corruption is being revealed. And so is the fact that there's been a pedophile ring.
Oh, absolutely. Well, the interesting thing is, getting back to what I was saying about duality and everything trying to balance itself, we see this perfectly nowadays. We see people waking up to what's really going on. Those of us that are digging deep into, people like Q or whatever Q is, and the forums and the internet, and we're searching for information. Not that I'm saying this stuff is real, but you could see that there's a large amount of people that want to know more and want to know the truth and what's really going on behind the scenes. And then you have the complete total opposite on the other end, people like AOC from New York, who, this poor soul is just totally clueless to what the world is really all about. And you see people just losing their marbles over hating an individual, like Trump. I'm not for or against him. I just know what he represents, And so it's just one of those things that you're seeing the polarity right now, so obvious and so clear to many of us. If you're not at that level and you're choosing sides, again, you're being conditioned and programmed to believe certain things about certain people in certain situations. And so the idea is to stay as open as possible and use your own discernment, your own intuition, your own, feelings about something, and, try and see both sides or the perspective of, the opposite, and see what it's trying to tell you. So this is a time of great reveal. I mean, the word apocalypse in Greek means to reveal.
Indeed it does.
So that's what we're doing. We're revealing things about the world and who we are, and how this world has been controlled, by these dark forces. And that's what the pedophile, unfortunately, I mean, I've talked about this in presentations about the whole pedophile thing, and it's all about energy, and they, like energy vampires, and unfortunately, it's one of the darker sides of humanity, and killing and all this other fun stuff, but that's what this world is all about. It's about experiencing everything, and some of it is not very pleasant. So the idea is to rise above it, and for the unity consciousness to become more important. In other words, becoming more aware of who we are collectively and caring about each other and working in unison, rather than individuals. And it's just me, I want this, I need this, could you imagine, and I've thought about this, could you imagine that all our wishes were fulfilled? What would everyone want, right? Fancy car, a house, loads of money in the bank. And how far is that going to take you, before, you have to face your own reality again? It's just a joke.
All right, and mastering the emotional body, we talk a lot about that.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe not here on the air as much as we do personally. How quickly does it take after. Look, we're not saying emotionally, if you become a master, you don't have emotions. We're saying, how quickly does it take to recover after you're experiencing your emotions? Or if you're having emotions come up really strong, are you taking a breath and thinking about what you're going to say so you don't react but choose your action accordingly? So there's many things that dictate whether we have money or not, we're going to have emotions.
Right, exactly. And, what I've discovered is you're not exactly your emotions. You're not your thoughts. You're not your fears. You're not your, what you have or some title that you give yourself. And, you're more than that. And this is one of the things I see now that is becoming so divisive is this whole LGBT, PSD, these labels that we keep giving each other, to keep separating us more and more, where in reality we're awakening to how we're all connected and we're different aspects of the source, just different vibrations of the source. And so we better start realizing that more and more and stop dividing ourselves,
It's weird that we choose to fight the same battles over and over again. It's like, when is it going to be over? When will we accept that there's equality and that we're not living in the same world we were 40 or 50 years ago? We've made a lot of social progress, and we don't need to continue to find ways to separate ourselves. We can celebrate the victories that we've had in this field.
Exactly.
I think things are much better.
One of the most beneficial things to occur right now, and it's kind of a double-edged sword, is technology. Okay? We could either let it control us or we take control of it. On the one hand, it's doing a great job at spreading information. Even though Google's algorithms are changing and, things are... The deep state's trying to fight back. But on the other hand, it can be an addiction, where every day we have to look at our phones, we have to go to our computers, we have to this stuff is artificially sort of taking us away from the natural world.
It is, and that's why after our event in July, I am deactivating my Facebook account, because I don't want to participate in it anymore. I don't like the separation that it fuels. I don't want to be on there leading into another election cycle to see people being their worst selves. Right. I think I'm done with that. I want to go back to experiencing life more in the physical, and which is what we came here to do. And I think it's really funny because I think about smartphones and internet and these devices, and one channeling that I received many years ago was telling me that these are like our modern day crystals, and that they contain so much information and that we can use them to access that. And yet what we see are billions of people around the planet. Instead of looking into everything that you have available to you, they're turning it around and taking pictures of themselves. And so how many pictures of your butt do you need? It's fantastic. We all love it. Great job. Let's see something else. Turn the camera around.
Right. Well, it's basically the ego, because we've forgotten who we are. And so we what we see, we think, when we look in the mirror, we think that's who we are. And in reality, that's not who we are. I mean, the Indians from India, the ancient cultures, knew that everything was not even real. I mean, when you tell somebody that, hey, everything that you see is vibrating light and energy, they think you're nuts. And then the next question is I asked them, where do you see me right now? This is an ancient Indian thought. Where do you see me right now? And they point to me and go, you're right there. No, I mean your head. The light is bouncing on me. It's giving you a visualization of what I look like in your mind. Your senses are instantly decoding what I look like, but it's all happening inside your head. What does that say about reality when we realize from physics that everything is just vibrating light and sound, that everything we see is not even real? Now that's a tough pill to swallow for many. Oh, but it feels real, Okay, when you go to sleep, where do you go? Where does your consciousness go? It's all about consciousness, folks. all of it is consciousness. That's who we are. We're pure energy consciousness. And then, in this physical suit, it's kind of squished in there, and our senses are limited to how much light we could actually see. And so, but when we go to sleep or we have experiences, let's say with mind-altering, psychedelics or drugs or whatever it is, we expand our consciousness because we're activating the pineal gland. And this is what the ancient cultures were talking about. And, all those symbols in the Vatican that look like pine cones, what do you think they're symbolically representing? The pineal gland.
Absolutely.
Gee, what a coincidence, huh?
I put that in one of my recent videos I just released, a little more about that kind of stuff. Yeah. So it's all coming forth, isn't it? All things are being revealed, and we're understanding who we are more and more and how to be a better version of ourselves.
Absolutely. Let's face it. I mean, all three of us have gone down the rabbit hole of truth, and that's what I call it, because that's what it is. You got to have enough, understanding or the guts to go down this rabbit hole. Because recently I encountered someone who didn't know anything about any of this. And my other friend basically just says, this is Joe Anthony, he knows all about the conspiracy stuff. And I says, okay, yeah, I do know a lot of it, I've been researching it. And then the next thing out of his mouth was, oh, so you think 9/11 was an inside job? I mean, how do you answer something like that without having to go into a dissertation? Mm-hmm. And this is an individual who's brand new to understanding these concepts, and I didn't want to offend him or hurt his feelings or destroy his illusion. So
it's going to rip the Band-Aid off very gently.
Exactly. And throughout the whole conversation, he's going, "Nope, that's not true. Nope, that's not true." I'm like, research it, prove me wrong. Go ahead.
Cognitive dissonance.
Exactly.
Those wheels turn real slow.
Exactly. So that's what we're facing right now, is a large amount of cognitive dissonance, and with a heavy dose of energy. And it's breaking through realities. I had an experience a few weeks ago. It was one of the strangest ones I've ever had. I'm standing in my kitchen, and I feel myself to the left and to the right of me simultaneously. Whoa. Now we're going into stuff that's really mind-blowing for the average person. We're multidimensional beings. Ooh.
Exactly. Well, we talked about that a little bit on our brother Reverend John show recently. Transdimensional realities superimposed over each other. We exist in each one of them, and they're staggered years apart, but it's us, the same you, and you can just shift into that perception, that awareness. I even was reading about this when I was 17 years old. Jane Roberts, Seth Speaks, this entity that was coming through her was talking about parallel realities, multiple timelines, multiverse, all this kinds of stuff. And that was back in the 70s. And so, but the main thing he said is you create your own reality. And so anything is possible.
Absolutely. Well, we're seeing this in Hollywood now. Look at all these, movies that are dealing with multi-dimensions and altered timelines. I mean, it's coming out because it has to come out. Right.
Oh, my God. That one depicts it so beautifully.
Which one?
The OA. Have you seen that?
No, I haven't.
Oh, my gosh. It's a Netflix show. Okay. And it explores all of these concepts, a multidimensional self, the shadow, the near-death experience, angels, beyond the physical realms. It's absolutely mind-blowing. And I've never seen a show quite like this that really depicts it so perfectly and so beautifully.
Well, I'll have to check it out sometime. I just, these days, if I'm watching anything, I'm watching stuff that's entertaining in terms of humor. I watch a lot of humor. I watch some of these kids that are just, sing like adults or play an instrument like incredible, like they were, Beethoven in a past life.
Exactly.
They're so good at it. I watched animal videos.
I like to watch the random acts of kindness and the real life hero videos because it reminds me that people are so good when given the opportunity, and that's not the message. That's not the lie that we're being That's not the lie that we're being fed constantly. That everybody is horrible and they're racist and a homophobe and a bigot, and we have to defend ourselves against their Nazism. It's not true. There's so many people out there that are so amazing and so wonderful, and they step up. Even animals just stepping up and saving people and saving other animals. It makes me feel so good to watch those things.
Absolutely, and that's the illusion that's falling apart. I mean, mainstream media has lost so much credibility. Everyone's moving away from it. Why? Because there's something awakening inside of us that knows what's real and what's not. And our nature, our true nature, is to be this loving being that wants to experience. And so we're going to see more and more of these institutions falling apart. And of course, like I said, the controlling factor, or these controlling entities, are going to keep fighting back. And unfortunately, what I've discovered, like I'm sure many of you have, is that there seems to be some sort of artificial intelligence controlling everything. You know, and now we're talking about ETs, and we're talking about stuff that I'm sure your listeners are aware of, but that's how deep it goes. And so
there was some disclosure about that in, what was it? It was a movie we saw recently. It was either Men in Black or The Avengers. And was it Men in Black that were talking about the Dracos?
It wasn't in the Avengers.
Okay, so it was about
Avengers was time travel.
So it was in Men in Black, and they were talking about how the Draconian system had been invaded, and there was an AI that was controlling them, and that they in turn went and started doing their bidding. They became part of the hive mind of the AI, and so that felt like a real.
Star Trek Discovery is doing the same thing. That there's a negative AI out there taking over.
Yeah.
Well, remember the Matrix number 3 at the end? Yeah. That was the AI, the negative. It was just taking over the system, and Neo had to go in and fight it and destroy it. But I mean, that's what it appears to be. I mean, it's right there in front of us. And unfortunately, with this new 5G network coming up, there's going to be more radiation, more opportunity for whatever AI is going on now to take greater control. So we have to become more aware of who we are and push further away from it.
Exactly. That's how you override it, is by being and they talk about this, they depict this in Divergent, where the way to override the system is to remember that it's all made up. To remember that none of it is real. So even the radiation that we're getting fed by 5G is not really real. It's just a part of this experience here on the Earth. And so if we don't buy into it or feed into it or put all our attention into it, we may be able to bypass the effects of it.
Exactly. I mean, for me, the desire to be out in nature is very strong. As a matter of fact, I ride my bike or go for a walk almost every day. And I found some spots that are just euphoric. I mean, I live by a golf course, and I go to one of the holes. The 9th hole is sitting up high here in where I live, and I could see the entire valley and all the greenery and these beautiful red mountains. And I sit there for 20, 30 minutes just in awe, and just taking it all in, not thinking what I have to do tomorrow or any of that stuff. And I'm watching the bunnies go across the grass, and deer. My God, there's deer everywhere. And it's just like, this is real. These beings are real, and these are alive. And so I'm a part of this. And so it's very important to either be in water, around nature, get out there working with your hands in the soil, and realizing you're connected to everything.
Well, yeah, and the self-realization experience, the enlightenment experience, the summit of these spiritual paths, you have the ability to transform, transcend, transmute anything, because you are part of the creator consciousness. And so the more you align to that, and by the way, if you want to align to it, your higher self and the guides, knocking the door shall be open, when you seek these things, it shows up more and more. And so that's one thing that happens when people work with the seventh seal. Synchronicity around awakening increases. You see the numbers, that are communicating that the universe is aware and you're a part of it.
This is all going into the whole thoughts creating the reality and us and the Christ consciousness concept, which is really just the application of the theory that we are all creator beings. So when we're part of the creation and not just experiencing it, then we can actually influence it. And that's why it's important for us to come to the realization that we are the creators, that we are creating this reality so that we can paint it with a different brush if we want to. And so it's very empowering to believe in this way. It's because it gives you the ability to change things instead of just experience them.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So, the next 6 months is a major transformational time. Astrologically, that it's basically saying you're coming into a time right now where a lot of your structures are going to be altered. And we know this, from the information you guys have provided and what I tune into and many others, that there's a major shift going on behind the scenes. Major. And so everything structurally is changing. From the pedophile networks to the Vatican to the corporations to the governments, the political leaders, everything is changing. And that's what the astrology indicates. One of the big things is that the fact that, governments, we know this because the last time Pluto was in Capricorn was in 1762. Okay, and what happened a few years later, in 1776? Because Pluto, takes a number of years to go through a sign. And here we are, in the same scenario, going through this revolution, if you will, of consciousness and structures and powers that shouldn't be, that's what I like to call them, that are changing and transforming right before our eyes. And so we see so many people waking up to what's going on, and then we see those that want to stay in that fear mode, of no, don't change our system, don't take away our safety net, don't take away our illusion, and we see that happening more and more and more. And so there's no stopping this. There's no way we could avoid this. The information is overwhelming, and not only that. These waves of energy, like I said at the beginning, are bombarding our consciousness, changing us physically, and lighting up some of that so-called junk DNA that we have. and it's making us more intuitive. And so we're feeling the need to learn more, to experience more, to see more, whether we like it or not, because it'll show up in our dreams. And so we are having this psychosis right now going on with the world. Those that want to see it and are embracing it, and those that don't want to see it and are losing it. So that's the only way I could say it. That's the only way I could.
Speaking of dreams, you tried sleeping with that seventh seal. What was that like?
Oh, it was very interesting. There was a lot. At first, there was a lot of disturbance. What the seal does is it activates your consciousness and the energy around your brain. And so, if you know everything is energy, it's like having like 7 different radio stations going at once. And that's the only way I could describe it.
Interesting, yeah. Did you have any fear you needed to work through? Anything? Because obviously, right before you wake up, your subconscious is working on things like from the day before. You're resolving issues and stuff like that. And so that, to me, was the most intense time. I really had to work on some things that I wasn't willing to look at. Once I did that, the next few times that I did it, it was really intense, lucid, amazing. Yes, very complex, but it was different after I sort of shifted through that stuff that needed to be resolved.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think you do it once or twice, you're opening yourself up, and you really do need to do it consistently in order to focus on what it is you want to see. Because I do remember, there was some anger issues, some emotions came up, and they were probably unresolved. So it brings that right to light. And then if you keep doing it, now you get to sort of, I don't want to say control, but you get to guide it better. And so I'm a big advocate of meditation, and whatever you want to know, whatever you need to know, you can always go within and ask. The problem is too many people, the way they ask is like this: oh God, please save me, help me, bring me this, and I need this, and I can't take this anymore, and this is, and the source is just responding to that same chaotic energy.
Yeah, definitely.
So the more you center yourself and the more you ask direct questions like, universe, show me how to best utilize my talents, you're going to get an answer, in a way that you need it. But the same holds true for money or, homes, relationships, all that stuff. Just say, bring me or show me what I need to see. Show me what it is that's important to me. And believe me, you'll get the answer. You just have to be patient and be quiet, because the mind just wants to analyze and overthink.
It's so funny that because it does matter how you approach them. Because I was doing a tune-in for a partner of ours, and he was kind of in that energetic field of the like, woe is me, and they kept saying, stop asking the wrong questions.
Exactly.
Ask the right questions and I'll give you the answers that you want.
Right. Well, we have to realize that the source, whatever it is, whatever this energy is in us already. So we're already connected to it. And whatever, it like you were saying earlier, it's a mirror. And whatever you project into it, it gives you back the same. So if there's so much fear and anger and frustration, guess what you're going to get back? There's doubt, you're going to get that back. If there's a lot of love and excitement, you'll get that back. It's like attracts like. And so that's what we're learning about. We're learning about how the energy works and how we're connected to it, and how everyone in your life is a part of you, is an absolute part of you, from your family, your friends, everyone you associate yourself with. They're aspects of you, just a different vibration of you.
I love that you're saying that too with the whole family thing, because I as a psychic medium, sometimes people book sessions with me and then they'll tell me right in the beginning, I don't want to talk to my family. I don't want to hear from them. They have nothing important to say. They weren't very smart. I didn't like them. I don't want to hear from them. And not only does that shut down the experience, really, because you're not being open to what they can share with you. The other aspect is that you incarnated with those people for a reason. You chose them for a reason, and you think that by dismissing them in this way that you're releasing yourself from them, but you're not. You're not working through the emotional stuff that keeps you in that loop with them. So if you want to get rid of them and you want to move on from them, you have to go neutral. You have to embrace the reality that you guys created the situation for each other, for your souls to grow, and that if you want to be released from the experiment with them, then you need to be able to let it go.
Oh, absolutely. How do you change another person? You change yourself first. You go within, counseling couples and stuff and so on. Well, he does this or she does that. And I'm like, no, it's just you reacting against yourself in a sense, and so and I see this a lot in family dynamics, people are staying in relationships because of kids and so on and so forth, or a lazy spouse, somebody who just sits on the couch all day long and doesn't do anything. So I would tell the wife or the woman that's I'm counseling, okay, then he doesn't want to go to the gym, he doesn't want to do anything, then you do it. You improve yourself, and I guarantee you he's going to take notice and want to be inspired, because you're changing the vibration of that situation.
Yeah. So
the more you change that vibration in your favor, guess what? Everything else will start changing too.
They actually depicted this concept in the series finale of The Big Bang Theory, and I thought this was such a beautiful moment. And that, if you're not familiar with the show, the main character Leonard has always had this kind of really icy relationship with his mom, who is this doctor, and she was never really warm or affectionate or approving, and was always kind of using him in experiments and so at the end, she does something that's really upsetting to him and just really hurts his feelings. And he finally gets his moment where he's going to yell at her and tell her all the things that she's ever done wrong. And he stops himself and he says, never mind.
Yeah.
If I won't accept you for who you are, how can I ever expect you to accept me for who I am? And I forgive you and I love you.
Perfect.
Well, that is the answer. Forgiveness, love's the most powerful thing in the universe. And we do have one commercial break, and we're going to go ahead and take that right now, and we'll be back afterwards.
We are proud to offer our premium hemp extract. Magic Life CBD is organic, flavorless, and non-psychoactive. Magic Life CBD is used for pain support, stress relief, inflammation, sleep, and much more. Magic Life products are in a strategic partnership with Deep Disclosure. Visit deepdisclosure.com and enter coupon code MAGICLIFE to receive a 20% discount.
Make your life magical.
Did you know you can accelerate your awakening and raise your consciousness? It is easier than you may imagine. The 7th Seal Activator tool quickens your path to enlightenment. This new technology is an ascension tool that is very powerful. Placing this symbol under your chair activates your Kundalini. The energy wants to rise up to the top of your head, opening all of your energy centers as it goes. Simply holding it over your heart chakra opens that center. You feel lifted and shifted. Working with the 7th Seal every day does indeed change your life. Get yours today at 7 Seal Codes. That's number 7 Seal Codes. That's number 7sealcodes.com.
Are you struggling to find your purpose? Are you looking for answers about where you came from and where you're going? Are you experiencing grief because you've lost a loved one? I'm here to help you with all of those things.
DivineMissM.com. That's DivineMSM.com. Supercharge your awakening with an activation. Mithras Imhotep and the Divine Miss M do specialized energy transmissions, clearings on each chakra, opening up, expanding and clearing, connecting the full body energy system with the 8th chakra, the soul star, along with the Melchizedek initiation, which activates all the meridians on your body.
During the clearing part of your session, we examine your energy field for any blockages from either past life or current life, emotional or physical trauma. We remove implants and entities from your field and your body. We cleanse the space around you and the people who share your home as well. We examine past life contracts and release you from anything that is no longer serving you. We do all of this with crystal healing bowls and toning and work in the astral plane. Give you your best foot forward.
Along with placing you inside of the 7th Seal, supercharging your energy field to jumpstart your path to ascension. Get yours today at 7sealcodes.com. That's the number 7sealcodes.com. Accelerate your awakening with an activation. Check it out at DivineMSM.com.
Seventh Seal Summit. Please go to 7thSealSummit.com. Tickets are still available for this extra galactic event that is taking place on July 5th, 6th, and 7th, right here in the beautiful Red Rocks of Sedona, Arizona. Tickets are still on sale, so act now.
This is the Divine Miss M, and I'll be coming to you live from the second annual Seven Seal Summit here in Sedona, Arizona. This event is bigger, bolder, and more expansive. We have a sound journey, we have guided meditations, we have activations, and thought-provoking presentations. I will also be doing my first live audience read. I'd love for you to join us for this historical event, as well as our in-person Deep Disclosure guest panel featuring some new voices and faces to the Deep Disclosure team.
This is the second annual Seventh Seal Summit. We're going to have some of the same great people as before and some new ones as well. This is going to be a very experiential, transformational, and uplifting summit. This conference is going to be held in July, so don't miss it.
The Seventh Seal Summit. Please go to seventhsealsummit.com for tickets and more information. We'll be conducting this extra galactic event on July 5th, 6th, and 7th at the Creative Life Center right here in Sedona. Don't miss it.
This is Methuas Imhotep, and I will be at the Seventh Seal Summit presenting on the Saint Germain codes. These codes are astonishing, for they activate many things in your life. The Seventh Seal Activator will have a next level aspect revealed as well. I hope to see you there.
And back into the show we go.
All systems are functional.
And we're back with Joseph P. Anthony. Down the rabbit hole we've been going with all kinds of interesting things. And we want to encourage you to accelerate your spiritual path. There's many ways you can do it. We also are creating more ways. And we're going to talk to you a little bit about that. We're also going to touch on a few more galactic updates. So, hello, here we go.
Absolutely. Part of our purpose here, and those of us that are in the metaphysical field or healers or teachers and spiritual leaders, are to help the rest of humanity. Okay? Because when you help them, you help yourself. And I don't mean in a monetary way. I mean in an energetic way. Don't you feel good about helping someone else?
Absolutely.
Somebody's in need, or somebody comes to you with a problem and they can't quite grasp it or get get over it, and you're able to help them. You just help yourself. And one of the things I do from an astrology standpoint is I print their chart and I look it up, and I counsel people based on the timeline they've come in on, because that's all it is. It's a timeline. It's a cycle. And when I'm done with them and they have a better grasp or understanding of what they just experienced, it's gratifying. I get so many comments that you told me this was going to happen, and it happened just the way you said it was. And, I feel so much better. I had to leave that relationship or whatever, just like you said. And it's just like, I'm just the messenger for you to help you understand your situation and help you get to a better place. So we here in the Sedona community, we realize this, many of us do, that it's not just about the beautiful red rocks, and we try our best. And for the most part, most of the people that I've encountered here are wonderful, spiritual, caring beings that like to help others. And so, we're here to help you. And this is why, Sedona has become such a mecca now for spirituality. And unfortunately, the downside is all that touristy stuff. People just come here, let's go look at red rocks and buy some cheap stuff, But the core of the group here in Sedona are a bunch of healers and teachers and so on. And I know we've been talking about doing something in a retreat setting to bring more people here in smaller groups, and to really share our wisdom and energy and love for other souls and beings, because the more we do that, the more we amplify our own well-being. So we're working on something big, and we're looking forward to announcing it soon. But it's going to be really something special, and I'm looking forward to it. So, but whatever resonates with you is what you have to go with. And if Sedona resonates with you, because every day there's people moving here. There's people,
yeah.
It's amazing to see, I just moved in and I need to be here. And something told me I needed to be in this place. The synchronicity here is just incredible.
We also have about 10 million people coming a year.
Oh, yeah.
And as tourists making their sometimes unwitting
exactly.
pilgrimage to the spiritual Mecca that's popped up here in the Southwest.
Yeah. Oh, no, without a doubt. I mean, when I had my store and people would come in and they have that look on their face like I'm looking for something. And then I sit there and I tell them what they're looking for. And they're like, how did you know that? So,
I might be a psychic.
Yeah, well, then I give them the card and I tell them, I'm not just a regular store owner here. But it's just, amazing what's happening right now. So it's really important to pay attention to your thoughts.
Right, and many of you know our story. We were guided here 3 years ago, and there wasn't a spiritual directory. There wasn't, a board or a website to just look up and go, oh, here's what I want. I'm going to pick this, that, and the other thing for my spiritual development, and I want to meet the best, cool, open-hearted spiritual people. So we're creating that. We've learned the ropes. We've found the core group, and it's growing every day, as more people show up. And so we're making it easier for people to find what they're looking for and sharing the tools that worked for us, even though many of us have been on our path a long time already. And this is our service. This is who we are, and so this is the best place for us to be right now.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, this feels like home. And when the energy shifts, and if we need to move on, we'll move on. But right now, the people that need to be in Sedona really know they need to be in Sedona.
Well, such as we're also thinking about taking the show on the road. The Sedona experience comes to you, and this magical mystery tour is evolving also. I've been commenting about it on Facebook, and there's more people joining that idea where we would have an ambassador in every city that wants to participate to receive us and help promote it. And then we can bring our experience and knowledge and wisdom right to your door, essentially.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think you guys know this, but I have a large RV bus that someday will hit the road, but had to do some repairs on it. But yeah, that's the whole concept right now, is for all the messengers and people who are aware to start connecting with others. And no matter where you are, so it doesn't have to just be in Sedona or one of these mystical sites. It's everywhere. So the faster we get to that, the better. That's what I feel. We have to bring the information to you. We'll bring the information to you.
We're coming to you.
Right?
So I'm also reflecting on some of the Galactic updates that we had recently. One of them that I'm looking forward to is one of the big news channels is going to fail.
Well, I think that we already know which one that is.
I think the writing's on the wall with that one.
Yeah.
The Criminal News Network, as I like to call it.
Yeah. So, sometimes they point out obvious things, but do you remember anything that was also encouraging or that stood out?
Well, they keep talking about revelations. They keep talking about big reveals, which I think we are about to see a couple more pretty big reveals coming out. I also saw the earth kind of splitting open and a new earth emerging from within it. So kind of like a shedding of our old skin and beginning a new cycle in a new place. So that I felt was very exciting.
Mm-hmm. I could see that. It's metaphorically speaking for something new that's emerging. I've always understood that the energy that's coming in is positive in the long term, because you're activating so much more of your consciousness. And so it's just the awkward beginnings of it, dealing with the different vibration. and not being able to understand what's happening. But when it does crack us open, not literally but figuratively, we're going to be experiencing high vibrational of love like we've never experienced before. And I mean, we're already experiencing that. I mean, we've talked about this, where there are days where we feel euphoric for no apparent reason. And so here we are, we're getting glimpses of what's to come.
I was talking to one of our friends, Sumaya, about the high emotion stuff that's coming through. And I mean, anytime I hear the word love, I just get like chills through my body. And if I see anybody doing a nice thing for another person, it's like emotionally overwhelming. Or when I think about my friends or my family that I love so much, it just like overwhelms me, the gratitude that I have for having them in my life. And she was saying that she was experiencing the same thing, and that she even cried over a beautiful postage stamp.
Hey. Absolutely. It's the small thing. What I realize is the little things in life that matter the most. Just saying hello, or, giving somebody a friendly smile, or making somebody laugh. They seem insignificant, but they're not. And so I realized this. And so, it's only taken me 50 years to realize that. But, but it makes a difference. And then they pass it along, and they feel better about themselves, and you've just affected someone else. So, that's what it's all about right now, is awakening to deeper awareness and consciousness, and how we literally can make a difference in other people's lives, and it affects us in return. So,
love it.
Absolutely.
What else have they said recently? They did say that the Chinese would be cooperative under the sign of the lion.
That's Leo.
Yeah.
Coming up after the 22nd of July. Mm-hmm. So
that might shift some things as far as our trade deals with them, and also our financial system. So for those of you who are in the know around that.
They also indicated that North Korea and South Korea would become one, I think, right?
Yeah, they've said this before, and I think that we're getting closer to that time and that period in time where this is going to happen, and it had something to do with that. They'd given North Korea an opportunity to come to the table, to disarm themselves, to join the rest of the world, and they're just weren't moving fast enough, and so they were eventually going to be absorbed into one unified Korea.
Right. Well, I think, looking at what's really going on behind the scenes politically, I think a lot of these countries like North Korea, Cuba, and some of these other communist countries, I think they didn't want to become a part of the criminal banking system of the world. So they've isolated themselves and their people. That's just a thought I have, like Russia. Russia was basically, in the 1800s, basically condemned. They were asked to join, the rest of the world's financial system, and they said, no, we're not interested in your, controlling the planet. And so the bankers got together and basically isolated Russia. And they said, no one is to deal with Russia. So what happened to Russia? They became this introverted system of communism, which was basically trying to be, subverted at every turn. And so I think this is why we have countries like North Korea and Cuba that did what they did. I'm not saying it was right, but they did what they did because they didn't want to become a part of this criminal system that's in place right now. But that criminal system is being taken down.
And I think there's another layer to what's gone on in North Korea, and that has to do with a 3-letter agency that's taken up residence in that country.
Absolutely. These 3-letter agencies and others have been influencing around the world. I mean, there's a great book, The Economic Hitman by John Perkins, who does a great job of describing how they go around the world basically pillaging countries and their resources and offering them phony money and loans. And, when they don't do that, they replace them with their own dictators. So this has been going on for quite a while, and he outlines it beautifully in his book. And so, again, part of the reveal and part of the awakening that's happening.
Yeah, the IMF has not been a good thing. No. It's been after the resources of these countries.
Exactly.
Yeah, so we need to see that shift.
Absolutely. Totally.
Definitely.
Come on, astrological super change.
Oh, it's happening.
Yeah.
Especially
bring it on.
In by the months to watch are now until January of next year, when Pluto and Jupiter, not Pluto and Jupiter, Pluto and Saturn align in Capricorn, which represents governments. And they're going to be in conjunct with each other. So you will see some of the greatest changes to governments coming next month all the way through next year in January.
I think that we are also. This is one of the things that Spirit said too, was that this that the separationism that we're experiencing, the separation, the duality is really peaked, and now it's on its decline. So we're going to see, even though it seems like crazy right now and how split everybody is, that it's actually moving in the other direction now, and so we're going to see a dissolving of that separation. And in fact, this just occurred to me. Remember this last night? I was visited by Kim Clement. He popped in.
Oh yeah.
And reminding me of some of the prophecies that he made. And he said that the solar event would happen now. Leading up into the 2020 election, so between now and the 2020 election.
Well, it's interesting, too, because the Galactic said that we shifted timelines yet again a little bit, and so we had a little bit of a
stabilizing.
Reprieve, somewhat. Yeah, stabilized. So it's still yet ahead, but who knows how much respite we've received. I mean, obviously the waves are still hitting us, so... and increasing, so we know we're in for an accelerated ride in any case.
Oh yeah, well, if the astrology is so intense in July, I don't know what to say. I mean, other than that, prepare yourself, because it's going to be very unsettling. It's going to rock our worlds in a sense.
So maybe a trip to Sedona and
yeah, exactly.
Do your work now and lift and shift and
right.
Be ready.
July's always been a really intense month for me. I have more relationships begin and end in that month, and I've totaled vehicles and changed jobs, and it's just been a very intense month in my personal history. So I am buckling up for this one.
And obviously we're getting ready for the 7th Seal Summit,
which I'm super excited about, because I think we've put together a really amazing show, and we really thought about what would people want to experience coming here. Do they want to sit and listen to lectures and we'll click through presentations, or do they want something that's interactive and shifting and activating and becoming a part of the collective energy that we're building and spreading across the globe? And so we thought about that with all the people that we chose to be on the stage this year and what we chose to present to you guys. So we're really excited about this event, and we think it's going to be very powerful. We know it's going to be very powerful. So if you haven't bought your ticket yet, it's still available, 7sealsummit.com, and you can enter the code.
Let's see, we have 7th Seal code for a 10% discount.
Yeah. 7th Seal.
7th Seal. Mm-hmm.
For 10% off your purchase.
I remember the Galactic saying something about this event. Do you remember what that was? They might pay us a visit? Or...
Well, they said that it was really important, to pay attention to the people that were showing up this year, the people that were guided to be here, because we were meant to do continued work, and that this was part of our tribe. And I think we've seen a big shift in our following and in our collective, and I think it's probably for the best. Letting go of negative energy, letting go of negative personalities, and moving forward with a united vision for the future. And I'm really excited about that energy being part of our event. Absolutely.
Everyone in this group is really highly aware, highly intuitive, really good people, and so you don't want to miss this, because these events sort of supercharge us. when we all get together and in the audience is there, we're kind of feeding off each other, off the positive energy. And it reminds us of keep moving forward and keep uniting and keep, understanding who we are as a collective. And so the whole idea behind this awakening is to awaken people all around the world simultaneously. A perfect example of that is, the events of 9/11. What did it do? It brought all our consciousness to one point in time. And so the idea now is to bring our consciousness to an awakening. And that's what the solar event is all about. It's like you're going to be able to understand something is happening to you inside, and you're connected to it all. And everyone's experiencing this simultaneously. So we better start realizing, what's actually happening and not keep feeding fear into the system.
And that solar event is on the 2nd, right? We have
a solar eclipse.
Then.
Eclipse coming up in Cancer, and then another one, lunar eclipse in Capricorn, which represents governments and all that stuff.
So
I think some big news is coming.
And we'll feel the effects of that for a few days afterwards.
Oh, God, yes. From the 7th through the 16th.
Okay.
It's just very intense energy.
Wow. Yeah. So we have that to look forward.
Right.
All right.
But the positive stuff is the new moon at the end of the month in Leo. Mm-hmm. So I think there's going to be some good information coming out at the end of July.
So we look forward to seeing those who are coming, and those that still are on the fence, we welcome you. And at some point in the future, we hope to meet our soul family, because the extension of that tribe is what's tipping the scales. And I do believe that there's a tsunami of consciousness that's been sweeping the planet, growing and growing, and we certainly have a lot of evidence of that in a lot of ways. I mean, I know through social media I'm seeing far more people speak out in a positive way and share their awakening, and whether it's giving a reading or sharing about their experiences. I've been kind of having my finger on the pulse for a long time, and I've definitely seen a increase, and ever the more so, it's more and more rapid.
Awesome.
So,
fantastic.
With that, we're going to close out.
But before we do that, if somebody would like to reach out to you, how would they get a hold of you?
Sure. You could visit one of my 2 websites, planetswithin.com. That's planetswithin.com, or josephpanthony.com. Or follow me on Facebook.
Awesome. And if you simply can't make it physically to the Seven Seal Summit, we are doing a live stream, and you can purchase tickets also for that at sevensealsummit.com. And if you'd like to book a session with me or Matthewis, you can visit divinemsm.com. That's divinemsm.com.
Indeed. So, until next time.
Signing off. From Sedona.
Many blessings. What if the English language was encoded to preserve a message, a hidden wisdom that was placed within the word and phrases that was encrypted by a master polymath from the 1600s? This message ensures that we have a very special testament with our Creator. The message supports and conveys that we are from the stars, that our souls are light and eternal, that our path to this higher plane of consciousness exists right here and now. We can access it within every breath. The Saint Germain Codes opens the door to you and leads you down the rabbit hole of light codes, frequencies, and lost wisdom stories. Visit MatthewusImhotep.com for more info, or search for Matthewus Imhotep on YouTube. That's MATHEUSIMHOTEP. Carry these vibrations with you through the week
next time on Deep Disclosure.